Peace, and welcome to another episode of the Quranic Remedies, where we spend about 15 minutes exploring a page from the Quran together and seeing how we can apply the verses to our lives. And hopefully, with God's permission, it helps us heal our brain, body, mind, and soul. So today we'll be reading from chapter 3, the Family of Imran, from verses 116 to 121. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge to God from the accursed devil. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful. إن الذين كفروا لن تغني عنهم أموالهم ولا أولادهم من الله شيئا وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. As for those who disbelieve, neither their possession nor their children will avail them anything against God. These are the inhabitants of the fire, abiding therein forever. مثل ما ينفقون في هذه الحياة الدنيا كمثل ريح فيها صر أصابت حرث قوم ظلموا أنفسهم فأهلكته وما ظلمهم الله ولكن أنفسهم يظلمون. The parable of what they spend in this worldly life is that of a frosty wind that strikes the harvest of a people who have wronged their souls and destroys it. God did not wrong them, but they wronged their own selves. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا بطانة من دونكم لا يألونكم خبلا ودوا ما عنتم قد بدت البغضاء من أفواههم وما تخفي صدورهم أكبر قد بينا لكم الآيات إن كنتم تعقلون. O you who believe, do not befriend outsiders who never cease to wish you harm. They love to see you suffer. Hatred has already appeared from their mouth, but what their hearts conceal is worse. We have made the messages clear for you if you understand. أأنتم أولئك تحبونهم ولا يحبونكم وتؤمنون بالكتاب كله وإذا لقوكم قالوا آمنا وإذا خلوا عضوا عليكم الأنامل من الغيظ قل موتوا بغيظكم إن الله عليم بذات الصدور. There you are, you love them but they do not love you, and you believe in the entire scripture. And when they meet you they say we believe, but when they are alone they bite their fingers and rage at you. Say die in your rage. God knows what is within the hearts. إن تمسسكم حسنة تسوءهم وإن تصيبكم سيئة يفرحوا بها وإن تصبروا وتتقوا لا يضركم كيدهم شيئا إن الله بما يعملون محيط. If something good happens to you, it upsets them. But if something bad befalls you, they rejoice at it. But if you persevere and maintain righteousness, their schemes will not harm you at all. God comprehends what they do. إذ غدوت من أهلك تبوئ المؤمنين مقاعد للقتال والله سميع عليم. Remember when you left your home in the morning to assign battle positions for the believers. God is hearing and knowing. صدق الله العظيم. God the Great said the truth. Now, these verses that we're looking at, they start with a verse that was mentioned earlier in a different form or a different way that it ends. So God is telling us that those that disbelieve, their children and their money do not avail them. This was on the second page or the second episode of the Family of Imran, when God states a very similar verse where the people's money and the people's children, whatever deeds that they did in the world, does not help them on a day of judgment. So imagine everything that you do, whether there's even some righteousness in it, anything that you invested your time in, everything that you have accomplished in your life amounts to absolutely nothing in the very end. That it does not help you in one bit to get to the heaven that God has been promising you because you just simply did not accept God's promise or you did not follow God's commandment. Now, one thing that I also want to add here, that you see how God talks about the inhabitants of the fire are abiding therein forever. There are no exceptions when God is saying that the people who go to hell are in it forever. This is something that is always presented in the Quran, and there is not a verse where anyone in hell is leaving. Yet earlier, again in page 4, I believe, or the 4th episode of the Family of Imran, there is a clause or a verse that states that there are people who say that they will enter hell for a bit and then they would go back to heaven. But this is something that they've made up, and it's a lie. Because clearly here, when God is telling us that nothing is going to avail you, then when you're going to hell, you've already not been availed. You have not been helped. And if you are a person who believes that there is one God and you believe that there's a day of judgment and that you have not gained anything in your in your faith, that you have not did any good deeds, again, your children and your money has no benefit for you on the day of judgment. God is giving us here in parable that, like, when they are spending their money, all they're doing is actually destroying themselves. And God is not the one who's causing the oppression. God is not setting them up for failure. But God has assigned to this world, to the humans, the path for righteousness. God has told us the ingredients for you to be a righteous human being. And when you choose not to do that path, God has already decreed that if you take certain things, it's considered unrighteous and it's going to harm nobody but yourself. So when you spend that money that you have in ways that God has not told you to spend them, they just at the end, or God has not permitted you to spend them, it just ends up hurting you because you do not know what to do with the blessings that you have been given, or you do not know how to handle what you are or what you're doing. But at the same thing, God is also telling us that whatever these people are doing in this worldly life is going to actually destroy them. Because these decisions that they've made on what they spend and how they spend it, they just end up just abusing it. And this is why they just wrong themselves. So, for example, let's say somebody spent money to build something that he considers as beneficial, like a school for people. And this school is teaching people the religion. But yet he himself was someone who's unrighteous. He was selling the religion. He built the school to make money off the word of God, but he himself is not applying it. So on the day of judgment, he's going to realize that he built the school, and because of the money that he spent, thousands of people have learned that you cannot sell the religion, yet the person who built the school was selling it for the religion. So the amount of hypocrisy in that moment that person is going to feel is just enough to completely destroy him. So it was better for him not to build that school. Yes, the benefit for the people learning the school, that's their own benefit. But it was actually a sin. It was just the person kept witnessing on himself on how much he did not like the religion, nor did he apply the religion, and he sold his religion for him to gain. God now is directing himself later to the believers. There is something that us as believers, because we are believers, it's something that's within us. That empathy and the benefit of the doubt, looking for the good in people, believing there's good in people, thinking that they will eventually understand that because you're mentioning God and they know God, that there is a common ground. But it's very clear that there are some individuals that they wish you harm, no matter what you do, and no matter how you express yourself, and how much they see you as a beneficial person, and how much you are a person who knows that God exists, and you're doing your best in the world to whatever that you have. Maybe I shouldn't say the word best, but you're doing what you can in your ability. It does not change who they are inside. They pretend to be your friend. They pretend to be around you. But yet, you can clearly see the hatred that's within their tongue. And what they have in their hearts is even worse. And the thing is, God has made his signs clear here. So the word that is used, قَدْ بَيَّنَّ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ. Talal here opted to say messages. But I think the ayat here is proof of what is happening. So when God is revealing people's tongues and what they're saying, and when he's revealing the tone of how they're saying it, and certain body language and ways of expressing themselves, facial expressions, tones and stuff, if you're recognizing it and capable of reading the person's true intention is just because there are certain emotions that people cannot hide easily, those are signs from God. Because anywhere you go in the world, when somebody's being conniving, it's the same manner. If someone is happy and he's making fun of you, it's the same manner. It's the same facial expressions, the same body language, it's the same characteristics. Yes, the language can change, the culture can change, the color of the skin can change, and much other things can change as in the human being, but the actual way that those people interact with you does not change. Because this is something that God is saying that he's showing us the signs for us to understand. And if you recognize that the person he hates you just because of who you are or what you practice, those people you should avoid. Because all they want to do is to make sure that you harm. And God states that here, that you in your heart, God is witnessing that you love them, but they don't love you. And you're investing your time in these people, thinking that there is this common compassion between you, but it's not there. All they want to see for them to feel rejoiceful is for you to fail or to get harmed. And when good things are happening towards you, they're literally biting. They're biting their fingers at you. They're biting their tongues. They're biting their hands, their fingernails. They're really upset that you're having some favor from your Lord, that things are working in your favor. When you recognize those people, say, die in your rage. God knows what's within the hearts. That's truly what it is. Die in your rage, because you're enraged that someone is doing better than you because of God's favor. You're enraged because you yourself do not have it inside you to show that compassion and love, because you don't see it that way. You're enraged because the people in front of you are telling you that this book has all the answers and it's fixing me, and I repented to God and I'm fixing myself and I'm fixing the world around me. And you get enraged when good things happen to these people, because you rather be honest, or you rather see the manifestation of what you presume that these people are show up in front of you, but it never does. And the other thing is, you're seeing that there's other cults and other people that wish harm upon you just because you don't follow their sectarian mindset. And because you don't follow their sectarian mindset, you're telling them that you're wrong, that they're wrong, and this book is what's the truth. And that's why God says that you believe in the entire book. You believe in the entire scripture. How many times have you met somebody where you are clearly telling them what the book says, but you find them just ignoring what God is revealing? This is something that is extremely present with a lot of people. They just completely reject the Quran. They completely reject what the Quran states, and they rather you do something else, and they hate you for quoting the book of God. This is something that you technically know in this day and age, when you are debating people that claim that they believe the Quran, but they've associated other books into the guidance and into the following of the religion. But this also applies to people within the community of the Quran alone. There's a lot of community members where they tend to say that they believe in the Quran, but when the Quran is presented to them, they act like they didn't hear it, and they brush it off, and they wish harm upon other community members, because they assume, or they saw, or they felt a shortcoming from the guy in front of them, or from the girl that's in front of them. And they use it to feel better about themselves rather than to help their brother and sister. So that hatred starts to become apparent from their tongues because of the way that they interact with you, and the way that they talk to you, that their intentions is not good. You've given them love, you showed them support, you did what you can in the limited time that you guys interacted, but it turns out it's not going to be in your favor because these individuals just have hate for you. And God tells us and about these individuals that when something good happens to you, it upsets them, and if something bad befalls you, they rejoice at it. But God's telling you to persevere. Stay in your patience, stay steadfast. As long as you're honest to yourself and you're honest to your feelings, and when you're honest in the conversations, and when you recall something, you're upright in your testimony, and when you are talking to individuals and you realize that they're the ones who are not being upright in your testimony, you just have to be patient, because God is the one who's witnessing, and that's sufficient. And the thing that is incredibly important to know, that God is comprehending on what these individuals want. And he's comprehending on what the true intentions of these people. So in the end of the day, they really cannot harm you other than what God has permitted as harm against you, or whatever God is permitting to befall you, because they cannot stop you. They can just give you small cuts, maybe inside or on the outside, but they can't truly stop who you are, because God has given you promises as a believer. The hypocrisy and the disbelievers and the people around that want to pray to other than God, and they want to serve other than the God, they really cannot harm you with their schemes. They cannot really stop you in what you're trying to achieve. The only harm they do is to themselves, and they might just give you a few scuffs here and there, as God states, and the majority of it is going to be by the language and the words that they use. But unfortunately for them, they just don't realize that you are in a better position just purely because you're being honest to yourself, honest to what is being said, and you are capable of expressing yourself with exactly what needs to be said at every moment, because there's no need to recall what you said before, because before you said the truth, and now you're saying the truth. So there's no need for you to hide. There's no need for you to play, for you to twist narratives. And there's absolutely no need for you to do anything against those that are doing that against you. Because at the end of the day, when they're seeing good being done to you, that's their punishment. God is clearly telling us that it's upsetting them. If someone is getting upset because of your accomplishments, that's their punishment for their jealousy. It's very simple. So that's why you have to persevere in what you're doing. And you have to be content with God. And as long as you're always honest, then you don't even need to recall what you were saying before. Because if someone asks you again, your question and your answer will be exactly the same. It would be the same position that you had, because your position has not changed because you were testifying in truth. God is telling us, and he's moving us on to a different point, that the blessed messenger, he is leaving his family. He's leaving his home. He's leaving his people in the morning, saying goodbye to his wives, saying goodbye to his children, saying goodbye to the people around him, bidding them well, and he's going off to the battlefield. There was no sense of convincing their wives. There was no sense of begging that they had to go. There was no people sitting here like, hey, there's other better moments or things that you could do that is going to benefit this world right now. So no, you are very important. You're the messenger of God. So don't go in the battlefield. Let us go fight, or let someone else go do it. None of that was present in that moment when the prophet left his home so that he would go assign the battle positions for the believers. The thing is that in this day and age, when somebody is dedicating themselves to God, having a mission from God, it feels like when a lot of individuals, it's just because of the world's condition, they do not show the respect that is due for such individuals. These are the people who I would consider in this day and age from the forerunners, from the people who are in front of the pack of the people of the right. They are a group of their own, which we'll find later in the Quran, where God is telling us about the forerunners. But God states that there is a group of them in the beginning and a few of them at the end. Unfortunately, in this day and age, a lot of people that you meet, whether it's you grew up with your parents, your brothers and sisters, your siblings, your cousins, and then later your wives, and sometimes even to an extent your children. For them, they just don't understand the critical nature of why you want to sacrifice to God. So they try to talk you out of it. And some go as far as getting upset that you keep bringing it up. That there are things and missions where you have to go and sacrifice for God, and it could cost you your life. Fighting is one of those. A good wife, a good spouse, a good husband would never block someone from saying, when they say that I want to go sacrifice for my Lord. Yes, the person might have kids. The person might have parents. There are responsibilities that this individual has. But all of those responsibilities, you're not the one who's taking care of it in the first place. You are a means for them to get the blessings from God. But God never needed you in that position. God is not waiting for you to feed your children. God will feed the children, and God will feed your wife, and God will feed your husband. Your God will feed anybody that needs to be fed, even if you're not around. But the fact that you leave your house in the morning and you leave your family with the idea that you're going to go fight in the name of God, with understanding that I might not come back to see them, this is truly how you know that you believe in the day of judgment. That's how you truly believe and you trust God. And not only trust God, you also acknowledge that heaven is present, heaven is coming. Because if I die today, whatever I'm leaving behind, it's going to be taken care of. And if it doesn't get taken care of the way that I would like it to, because that's what God has allowed to happen, I'm content with that. I am content with people feeling sad that I had to go. But that's their problem. I'm content knowing that there are responsibilities that I could have done if I was alive, but I went on that battlefield and I lost my life. I am content with whatever is going to come my way, because I'm going there to satisfy my Lord, to please my Lord. I am there to represent how there are believers, there are soldiers in the name of God. So you should always consider when somebody, and it does not have to be to the level of fighting in the name of God, but if somebody's striving in the way of God, which is outside of the regular scheduled programming, I do advise you as a spouse of anybody who wants to achieve that kind of stuff to allow the person to go, to support them, to be happy that they're doing that because they're working for the hereafter. And if you are supportive in their mission, you would be part of that. That's something that we always should keep in mind. I really do hope that you guys are enjoying these. All praise to the Lord, Lord of the worlds, and peace and blessings upon you.